Now, there are lots of pedigree boxers around at various different weights, but at bantamweight, the successor to Orlando Canizales must surely be this man, Poison Junior Jones. We've seen him quite a bit before. He's in the ring here against Arturo Nava. This was back in June last year. Bit special, this guy, Gary. Huge for a bantamweight.
Well, yeah, he's what you call unique. He's like, look at the size of him, the reach. And if you notice nowadays, fighters are getting a lot taller, a lot longer reach. And then what they actually do is they stretch from division to division, don't they?
5'10", this guy. His arms just sort of go on forever, but wicked body punch there, left hook to the body.
He's going to dominate anybody in his own weight division at this particular time. But what we'll have to wait to see is when he moves up about 2 or 3, because he will have to, and how he may fill out and everything else. Yeah,
fair comment. After the break then, the man going for his 28th straight victory, Brooklyn's Junior Jones, one of the stars of the future. Stands at 27 fights, 27 wins, 19 KOs. Salazar is one of these competent and fairly tough Mexicans who's fought in Britain, losing on a cut-eye stoppage in the 7th to Danny Porter. But how will he fare against Jones, one of the tallest bantamweights in history at 5'10"? Let's join commentator Ian Dark to find out what happened in this one.
Good evening, gentlemen. I gave your instructions from your respective corners. I want to remind you that we're boxing under the rules of the New York State Athletic Commission. Obey my commands at all times.
Referee Samuel Barret showing his linguistic skills, talking in Spanish to Juan Pablo Salazar. Junior Jones is red hot though. How much do haircuts like that cost in New York? He's looked the part so far. Salazar, 20 wins, 7 defeats. So far, a pretty moderate performer. And Junior Jones has the reputation of being a very tall bantamweight. But look, Salazar is just as tall. A couple of raw string beans at the weight, these. Jones unbeaten in 27 and regarded by many as the natural successor to Orlando Canizales as the best bantamweight in the world. This is for the WBC Continental Americas bantamweight title, which doesn't really mean a can of beans, but what does mean something is that Jones is one of the best young talents around. It is, of course, utterly ridiculous, the number of titles there are around these days, but that's another subject for another day. We saw Poison Jones, as he calls himself, on the undercard of the Riddick Bowe Evander Holyfield Classic at the Thomas and Mack Center in Las Vegas, and he took out Jose Carino of Mexico in no uncertain style, and Carino came to the fight with a reputation of being durable and resilient. Just look how well muscled around the shoulders Jones is. He's a New Yorker, boxing in front of his home fans here. And on all known form, you'd expect Salazar to become just the latest name on his record. Real good, stiff, fast jab he's got, and a very, very long reach, Jones. Of course, the real test for young men like him comes when they're put into longer, grueling fights, when they're put under pressure themselves and their own chin and heart is tested. This opening round, Jones really able to do what he likes. Some damaging looking body shots and a big overhand right to the head as well. That shook Salazar up. He looks a bit open on those ropes. Not missing too much, is he, Jones? And Salazar, I think, is already aware that this might be a bad experience. And so far he's never been threatened. Big, wild hooks. And then the straight right through the middle from Jones. Salazar looked in a bit of trouble at this point. And his defense didn't look any too tight. Second round. Jones, the hot prospect in the black and blue trunks with the fancy tassels. He's 5 feet 10 inches tall, and the tallest ever bantamweight champion was Panama Al Brown between 1925 and 1935. He was 5'11". Mind you, with tall fighters, they're sometimes vulnerable to body punching. Something later opponents may work on with Jones, but it doesn't look as if Salazar has the weaponry to really trouble him, certainly on what we've seen so far. What else has Jones done so far? Well, he does hold a points win over Rolando Bohol, the former IBF flyweight champion. And he stopped Dio Andujar from the Philippines, who's another decent fighter. He's good, all right, but how good? Jones with a really good-looking left hook there. Once he gets through, he's looking for the finish. Setting it all up with those long, raking jabs. The word on Salazar is that he's quite competent, but he's pretty obscure. And there have been a few defeats on his record. Lost to Danny Porter, British champion, in 7 rounds in October '91. Oh, explosive stuff from Jones. Really getting some leverage into those shots to head and body. And Salazar is needing all his durability to cope with that. Salazar did last the distance with Salvatore Fanni, the European champion at the time. So that suggests that he does take a shot, and he's not glass-jawed or anything. Well, we've seen that already here, because Jones has hit him with some pretty big guns. Last few seconds of round 2. All Jones so far. Two rounds gone. 2 rounds to poison Ivy Jones, the 22-year-old New Yorker.
Real good. Work it to the body real good.
You might have heard me say before, when he was on the Holyfield bow, Bill, he had a very, very hair-raising experience when he was 15. He was in a telephone booth, and he was actually shot. And somehow he escaped from all that with nothing much more seriously wrong than losing a pendant from his neck. Here's some of his work in that last round. Really good left hook. That one was blocked, but a lot more got through. Straight right too. There seems to be a fair variety about him.
Jab.
Salazar having to cover up for all he's worth. Lowish looking left hooks from Jones. His arms are such long levers that I think he has some difficulty controlling the target for his punches, almost. Third round. Jones looking for his 28th consecutive win. He has been a Madison Square Garden house fighter on the way up, but about a year back he transferred to Top Rank. But obviously it wasn't too acrimonious a split, because here he is back at the Garden. You can just see from the way that Jones moves that he is a world-class operator. Might be some fight, mightn't it, between him and Orlando Canizales if they could get it together. Looks to throw every punch with a rather worrying amount of malevolence. Just past the halfway stage in the third round. And I think Salazar, probably in his heart of hearts, already knows that this is going to be not much more than a survival job. He's already been hit hard and often. Right uppercut, left hook, and then another right, all finding the target. Salazar in trouble again, bravely trying to fire back. Jones sensing that maybe he can get the job finished. Oh, another right uppercut. Goodness me. The referee having a very close look at Salazar there, just to see how he was, having taken that barrage of blows. Some frighteningly fast and powerful looking combinations from Junior Jones. Salazar does land with a jab, but his face is getting pretty marked up here. And it's not the kind of fight you want to have too many times if you're the likes of Juan Pablo Salazar, because they age you and age you badly. Being cast as the opponent here. And the look on his face, I think, tells you that he realizes he may be in a wee bit deep here. Jones, a big booming right. He's out of range with the left hook that follows, but he landed with a lot. There was a right uppercut, left hook, another right crashing in that rocked the head back of Salazar. He tries to fire back, covers up quite well, but there were a couple of really solid, meaty blows. Fourth round coming up. Junior Jones, who won 150 out of 159 as an amateur. He was a national Golden Gloves winner and boxed 13 times for the United States, winning the lot. Due to go 12 this is the fourth. You'd be faintly surprised if Salazar could carry on taking these punches for 12 rounds. It is very one-sided. Hurtful looking left of the body, jab, setting up the next attack, another left hook. And having to give ground, Salazar. Being backed into those ropes again. Oh, that body punch was what did it. The left hook to the body, right underneath the rib cage. He's in terrible pain from that. He might not get up. He hasn't. All over in the fourth round. And Junior Jones makes it 28 straight wins with another impressive performance. Maybe not a night to draw too many conclusions about exactly how good he is, but I think one thing is for certain: he's good enough to be pitched into World Championship contention. How he fares at that level, we shall see. But just looking at some of his work tonight, he looks the goods, doesn't he? Salazar's face swollen underneath the eyes, and I would think he's pretty glad that this is over. There was the right, and I think it's the body shot that does it there. A great shot underneath the rib cage, and you could feel it from here, really. Just look at the pain as this left comes in. There. That's it. He didn't want to know any more after that, and frankly, I don't blame him. It was only ever going to be one outcome, and you were glad, really, that Salazar didn't have to take any more, because it was one-sided stuff.
Ladies and gentlemen, the time of this bout, 1 minute and 17 seconds of the fourth round, and the winner by a knockout, and the brand new WBC Continental America's Bantamweight champion, Poison Junior Jones.
28 straight wins, and he looks a star in the making.